Alright, so now that's the installation part of new pressure pump. So I have this one from the Wreckers, and it looks like it has been cleaned. Apparently it has been pressure tested by our diesel laboratory too, so I'm pretty sure that this should work. The one thing that I noticed was that they didn't do a good job with the packing, and this connector is cracked, so I can see the wires coming out of it, but this is a pretty rigid connector, so I think that I should be okay to reuse it. That's fine. So once it is in there, I'm pretty sure that this connector won't be touched again and again. So yeah, probably it'll do good for the rest of its life. So to put it back, we'll just slide it in there. It's the reversal of the removal process, so it's just installation, probably a few tricks here and there, but we'll just put it in there, put the two bolts that we removed from here back in here, and the rear ones from over there. So the one on the left, it's a bit tricky because there is not too much access, especially with this thing, this pipe, metal pipe. It is actually whatever tool you want to put from the back, it will try to hit it. But I had a small torx made with a adjustable, which is called a spanner, speed spanner, or a spanner ratchet. I used that one to remove this left bolt. Alright guys, the pump is in. I had to remove it twice, and the main reason was that one of the sleeves, in fact both of these sleeves, the bolts were not going in there, and when I removed it, and I realized that the last time when this pump was used from the factory, probably they put some kind of a thread locker in there. So I had to remove the thread locker, remove the pump, remove the sleeves, remove the thread locker from the sleeves. Two of my nuts, actually they lost their thread, they got rounded off, so I have to replace them with another two. So yeah, put it back, and then I had to install these two bracket bolts at the bottom. They did not need to be removed, so to remove those two, you don't need to remove them, you just need to remove these two and the two at the back. So I put these two in and the two at the back. I connected this fuel line and the other one, the high pressure fuel line, and then I installed the back cover, this one over here, which remove. And now I'll go ahead and put the mounting bracket here, not the mounting bracket, what's it called, the hoist bracket, the engine hoist bracket. I'll install that one, and also I'll put the belt on top of the pressure pump now, and I'll put the pulley. All right, I'll show you how to reset the pulley now. We have this tensioner, and we want to reset it. We want to reuse it. This is a really good one. I mean, probably it was changed at some stage. There is no noise, nothing. I want to reuse it, but to put it back into this slot is really difficult. So I came back. So I came with this idea. I used a wooden plank that I had lying around. Usually put it under my car. So I taped using this flathead. I tapped a notch in it with a hammer and this flathead, and then I just placed it in, and then marked the hole using a drill, so that this bolt can go in, and I can actually attach this tensioner to the wooden plank itself. The idea would be to tighten it up, put a rope around it, use a pillar or something, pull it up so that it can go back to its original position and lock it. I'll show you how it goes. Alright, so here's the next phase of the idea. So this is now securely mounted onto the plank. This is on top of a trolley jack, and there's a strap that goes from the back all the way to the bottom, and it's hooked with a, so the thing is that idea is that when I jack up the trolley, it will push it up. This thing is fixed, so what it will do is that it will exert pressure on it. So you can see that it's at a right angle, so ideally the pulley should rotate right, and there's a hole back here. Here's a hole here, so when it rotates all the way over here, I'll try to put this pin in the middle and stop it over there. So currently I'm using this strap, which is just used for packing, and it's not really really strong, but I think that ideally a nylon strap would have done a lot better here. But this is what I have, so I'll just proceed with it and show you how it goes. Okay, so now you can see that there is a notch in between where you have to put it, and it's now reset, and it can be put back into car. So when we put the belt in, when we put this timer in, we'll tighten it in and then just pull the pin. That's it. Alright, now I have put the belt in. Here you can see the crank pulley. The back of the crank pulley does have a wedge at the end, so make sure that the belt goes in between it. This is to make sure it doesn't slip. On the other hand, we have welded around the power pump, and now we have to put our tensioner pulley here. So there is a notch in here, so we have to make sure that the notch on the pulley, that's this one, actually goes into that place. So once it is in, we'll tighten it, and once it's tightened, we'll just pull this pin. Alright, I was able to put in the belt and the pulley, so the belt goes all the way. So the first step is to put it around this crane pulley, and then it goes to the pump, and then it goes down, and then you have to put in the tensioner, but make sure that you put in the notch first, otherwise it will be really difficult. Even if you are able to put this bolt in, you will not be able to find the notch. So the first step would be to raise the belt. Second step, put the notch in, locate it, feel it, put in the pulley, and then put the bolt in. And now I'll do some final checks, and after that I'll just pull this pin out. And once this pin is out, it will put the tension in and everything will be okay. Alright, I managed to pull the pin out of the tensioner, and now there is some slack in it. It's really tight. Tensioner is doing its job. And this belt seems to be a bit to the inside, but I think that once it starts, the cam over there, since it has rimmed edges, it will try to pull this and self-adjust this particular belt to the center, so it shouldn't be an issue. So next I'm gonna go ahead and install this one. It's that hoist mounting bracket, so it will go there at the back. So it came with 3 screws. I took it out, so I'll just put the two 10mm bolts in and ignore the third 8mm one because it's difficult to put in and remove. So yeah, and then once I'm done with this one, I'll just go ahead, and there are a couple of protrudings from this hose. So since I'm gonna put a hose clamp, a normal hose clamp, instead of the one that originally was installed here, so I'm just gonna cut these two so that it's easier to put on and take off. Alright, I put the bracket in and I put the hose clamp in, and then the next thing is the oil separator. But before we do that, we need to make sure that any connections that need to be made in before it goes in, we have to make them. So I have to put these 2 connectors in, and also I have to put this high pressure line to the left bank in. So make sure that all these things are intact. This thing I'm pretty sure I can do that after we put in the separator. So I'll do the separator first and then we'll come on to it. So make the separator go in easy. Just spray a bit of silicone spray on this hose here, and the seal of separator that came out, this one, this oil seal. So yeah, once you, and also here, so once you spray a bit of silicone spray in these parts, it will easily go in. Alright, now you can see that the oil separator is back in its place. I also managed to put some oil lines back the way they were, put them back together, the clip that I removed from here, and I'll put the few lines back in. And after that, yeah, once the separator was in, I used some a little bit of silicone spray to actually put the hoses back in. So the thing with the rubbers is that they're really easy to maneuver and put them back on if you put a little bit of silicone spray on them. So same over here. So all this thing is on its place. Now the next thing up was that the crossover pipe that goes between the EGRs, so it's also now in its place. Apart from that, what next? Oh yeah, this thing. So now that this crossover pipe is back, there will be this harness that will be connected to the back of it. So so there was originally a tie over there which I clipped off, so I used another tie to put it like this. So what I'll do is that I'll just wrap it around the harness, and then I'll bolt this thing back to the mounting of that crossover pipe. So yeah. Now each and everything is back on. I was able to put that the base on, the plastic one, put the clamp on at the back, and then I connected all the connectors, and it looks like, and also the filter too. Yeah, I put the filter back, and now it looks like it's ready to be started. I just need to connect the battery and put some coolant on, or probably I'll skip the coolant till I get it started. So once it starts, I'll probably put the coolant after that to make sure that even if I have to go back, then probably this is one job that I would like to skip.